Welcome to the Beginner's Guide on Management by KPI. The objective of this micro-learning module is to educate the learners on 1. What are key performance indicators? 2. How key performance indicators propel towards business excellence. 3. How to develop and implement key performance indicators. We are wired to quantify whatever is important to us. After quantifying, we compare and rank with the base data. This behavior happens without our conscious efforts. We quantify our health by measuring the vital body parameters like BMI, blood pressure, blood parameters, heart functions, brain functions, kidney functions, liver functions, etc. After ascertaining the measures of the vitals, we compare the data with the standards based on our age. These measures educate us about our health. If all the vital parameters fall within the average, it gives us an assurance that we are healthy. If some parameters are less or more than the average standards, we need to pay attention and take preventive measures. Thus, measuring the right indices and comparing them with the base rate help us evaluate our relative health with data. This process of identifying, measuring, reporting, and evaluating periodically by the vital functions is analogous to management by key performance indicators. Evaluating the vital functions periodically provides us data to manage the function meaningfully. Just like how we measure and report the vitals of a human body, we can also measure and report the vitals of any function existing in an organization. Consistently measuring and reporting on the vitals of any function propels us to business excellence. This sums up the quote by Peter Drucker. What gets measured gets managed. Now we know that for an organization to embark on a journey of business excellence, the key performance indicators need to be defined and evaluated periodically. Identifying the key performance indicators to be evaluated is a critical process in implementing a KPI-based organization. The KPIs need to be comprehensive, and needs to report the parameters that are necessary to the business. Failing to do so can result in unintelligent measures. In most cases we measure and report what is expedient, like measuring only the profitability of the business or the quality. Such a system is bound to fail because growth needs to be comprehensive. Achieving profitability at the cost of quality and vice versa can be detrimental to the business. In order to identify the key performance indicators, let's use the TPM model. Total Productive Maintenance Philosophy proposed by W. Edward Deming recommends that for optimal performance the following 6 parameters need to be measured and reported simultaneously. 1. Productivity. 2. Quality. 3. Cost. 4. Delivery. 5. Safety or sustainability. 6. Morale. It is the acronym for PQCDSM. Now that we know about PQCDSM, let's learn how to practically apply and create key performance indicators. Let's take the recruitment function, which is a part of the Human Resources Department, as an example, and identify the key performance indicators using the total productive maintenance parameters. 1. Productivity. Productivity is a measure of the actual performance of a function against the set expectation or target. So, in a recruitment function, the actual performance is the number of positions closed against the number of open positions for a particular project or for a department. 2. Quality. Quality evaluates the productivity or performance against the customer's need. So, measuring the quality of a recruitment function is a measure of positions closed against the manpower mobilized for a particular project. In other words, it is a measure of the wasted efforts. That is, the position is closed, yet the individual cannot be mobilized because of performance standards or issues relating to documentation, medical issues, etc. Quality needs to be defined with relation to the expectation of the customer. 3. Delivery. Delivery qualifies the performance and productivity in relation to the customer need. So, delivery of a recruitment function is a measure of the time taken to close a particular position. In other words, it is a measure of the turnaround time to mobilize manpower for a particular project. Delivery also needs to be defined based on the expectation of the customer. 4. Safety. Safety in recruitment process refers to sanctity of the process followed without deviation. In other words, safety in recruitment is the measure of deviations, that is, measure of deviations from the established process, or a measure of the process compliance. Example, compliance to recruitment requisition, and approvals from all function before proceeding with recruitment, etc. 5. Cost. Cost refers to the overall cost expenditure in rendering the service of recruitment. It is measuring the overall cost per hire for direct category and indirect category. Under cost, the overall expenditure against the budget needs to be measured. Cost incurred due to traveling and hotel stays of the panel for recruitment drives, and their incidental expenses need to be measured and reported. Cost also needs to measure and report the overall budget of the function and the expend thus far. 6. Morale. Morale refers to the measure of the motivation and engagement of the hired personnel. In other words, morale refers to the measure of misconduct, show cause notices issued, and disciplinary actions taken against a specific group of hires. What we have learnt is the process of creating KPIs for the recruitment function using the TPM model. The measures can vary according to the objective of the organization, and they are industry-specific. We need to be conscious of certain derailers while implementing key performance indicators. Key performance indicators needs to be co-created for each function with the functional head, department head and the internal customers. Because we need to measure and report only what matters. All the functional heads and department heads need to be educated on the KPI-based management, such that they are aligned on the process. And lastly, the KPI measures need to be as objective as possible. We have come to the end of this micro-learning module on management by key performance indicators. If you have any questions or comments on the subject, kindly raise them in the comments section below.